Know Your Company segment, and today we have selected one company from the housing finance space, since this is being talked of as the big theme that could probably benefit under the affordable housing focus that the Modi 3.0 Sarkar has already taken as one of the first key decisions in this new government. 3 crore houses to be built, and therefore there is an expectation, and we've been seeing some momentum build onto all of these stocks now, be it HUDCO, be it the LIC Housing Finance, GIC, Awas, Home First Finance, all of them have been in the thick of action. We've chosen today HUDCO, and we're going to be discussing HUDCO as a standalone and then take an overview on the affordable housing segment as well. So let me just share a few details about HUDCO as a company to all our viewers. Now, we do remember, as far as the FY24 Q4 consolidated numbers are concerned, the net profit improved by 9.5%. Total income came in at 2194 crores versus 1862 crores. Also, the gross NPA has improved. It has fallen from 3.4% to 2.7%, and the provision coverage ratio stood at about 87%. The company provides loans for both urban as well as rural housing, cooperative housing, community toilets, slum upgradation, staff housing, retail housing. It also repairs and renewals as well as for land acquisition as well. Now, let's understand, it was incorporated in 1970 and it's been long-standing company, of course, government focused company. How are you really looking at HUDCO, sir? The kind of performance that we have seen is definitely worth noting, but what goes forward from here?
I think as far as HUDCO is concerned, I think the stock has outperformed quite significantly. And I think I remember the good old days when it used to trade at 50, 60 rupees, and people used to look at this company as a very slow moving stock. But now I think looking at the fact that they are largely in the affordable segment, I think in the MADA segment, MADA is a institution which operates low cost housing for most of the customers across pan India. So I think definitely with this 3 crore houses announced by the government, I think a decent share will be taken by HUDCO. But I think overall, if you look at the outperformance of the stock and the kind of performance the company has put out in the last quarter, my sense is that now I think going forward, incremental gains, Sakshi, are going to be a little difficult. One can definitely stay invested here, but I think clearly there are other good choices in the housing finance space where I think the risk reward is much better. So I think HUDCO is a good company, but expecting a very significant upside from the current levels would take a little more time. So I think if one were to remain invested for the next 12, 18 months, then only you could see the next run, in this stock, which would be quite significant.
Okay, so let's look at the performance as well. Remember, on a year-to-date basis, the stock has already doubled investors' wealth. Like Mr. Avinash Gorakshakar was saying, that the stock has outperformed, and 118% kind of a move is what you have seen in the year-to-date performance. Last 1 year performance is even more significant. The stock in the last 1 year has given 378% kind of an up move. There's a one-way move that the stock has really witnessed as well. From 281, Mr. Gorakshakar, valuations wise, opportunity wise, and what could be a long term target? Like you say, only if somebody has a 1-2 year perspective will somebody be able to make decent returns on this one if one takes a fresh entry. So first of all, if a fresh entry is advised at these levels, and what could be the potential targets and upside potential?
So I think, see, now the stock is likely to be a compounder. So I think you cannot expect, 100 or 200% kind of rise even in the next 12 months. So my sense is at least a 20 to 25% upside, which means that, the stock is now trading at around 275, 280. So levels of around 320, 330. That is something which is very much reasonable. I think because, incremental upsides are now going to be more slower. So that I think the investor needs to take into account.
300, 320 kind of levels could be something that could be reasonable to expect on HUDCO going forward from here, keeping in mind that the stock has already run up pretty sharply. Now, comparing HUDCO with the other peers at this point in time, sir, if one really has to bet big for the long term, say next 5 years, 10 years, with the kind of retail real estate capacity that could be generated, the demand that could be in the offing, and of course the focus of the government within affordable housing, how would you place HUDCO along with the peers, maybe from the private sector or from the public sector itself?
No, see, I think HUDCO operates in a very different space. It operates in the low cost, affordable segment, the MADA segment, and that is why their opportunity for making margins is slightly on the lower side because they operate in a target segment where the affordability factor is limited. So I think you can't compare this company with other housing finance companies which are in the private space like LIC Housing, or for that reason Canfin Homes, or typically Aadhar Awas Housing, where the opportunity is also very large and where the margin potential is much better. So I think you need to understand one thing, that the biggest advantage for HUDCO is that it gets a lot of government funding at a very reasonable cost, and that is why its spreads and NIMs are better. So I think one straight comparison cannot be made, but yes, over the next say 2 years, the company seems to be very well positioned. In fact, very little asset quality problems. Disbursements have also been very strong. And I think if the government announces, lot of schemes for affordable, low cost housing, that is something which is going to help HUDCO much better than the other companies.
Okay, understood. Now, within the housing finance companies, where else do you find opportunities, sir, apart from HUDCO, where investors can probably look at a well diversified, focus within the housing finance names?
See, I think as I mentioned to you, the larger players like LIC Housing, typically a Canfin Homes, or typically an Awas Housing. These are stocks where the runway is definitely very large. In fact, LIC Housing has LIC as its parent, so I think in terms of funding support, they are very well capitalized. As far as Canfin Homes is concerned, it's a subsidiary of Canara Bank. So I think here also, people, I mean, investors could expect at least a 20-25% upside even from the current levels. So, obviously, upside could be decent. And plus, once the budget is announced, we get some more news flows on the housing finance sector, what the government wants to do. I think that would definitely give a further re-rating, to these companies in this.